Okay, hi guys, I'm just about to play a atomic match against ProgramFox. This is part of a tournament that was run by KC Lee 2172. So I'll just send him the challenge. It's a tournament that hasn't been not that many people have been involved in it. Let me just in fact, so there were a few different sections, which was the idea of the tournament, and I think there was an open tournament, which was for people. Well, it's people above 2400, but not many people really. Well, I was the only person I think that joined that section, so I'm playing the winner of the section beneath, which was between I think 22 and 2400, and that's ProgramFox. Okay, what do I do here? I haven't looked at this line for quite some time. Let's go for this. I'm covering this square so he hasn't got this direct play. I think I may even have had this in the atomic final. Maybe I'm getting confused with a different position though. Let's get castles. Now this knight's a little bit freer. I might have some ideas of being able to jump with the knight even to d5, although I have to be careful about bishop e1 ideas. King h1 is often an idea in these types of positions as well. It's not quite yet, because he's got d4 under attack with the queen, but sometimes it can be used in combination with this. So he's grabbed that. Now I think so I do have this manoeuvre. I'm going to go for that. I know he can play queen h4, which is a bit annoying, because then he can play queen f4. I go g3, queen f4, and he can exchange the queens. But I think I'm going to let him do that anyway. And then try and just get some play. I'm thinking I can just play d5. Sorry, and I'll have, some reasonable attacking chances here. He probably should take my bishop, and then rook e1. e5, bishop f4 maybe could be a interesting approach. In fact, this might not be very good at all actually. Maybe you can take on a2. Well then, although maybe I do get enough play, then take on e6 followed by knight f4. I think e5 probably. Yeah. Now I can play bishop f4. I think I can do this. This is just such a strong attack along here. I think I've got enough compensation here. Well, I mean, I've only given up a piece for a pawn, and I've got pretty good play. But these kings can get quite concrete, so I mean, if he can get out of it... I thought he might try that, but I thought I had d6, to be honest. So I didn't... I think this is winning now. Okay, let's just grab that. Just keep that knight under control. Maybe I can just take this. I'm going to go for it. Oh, I've only got 10 seconds. This is what I was counting on, rook d1. Just coming now down here. I've got the exchange and a piece, so this should be fairly comfortable because I can just exchange a rook and then push my pawns on the queen side. Okay, let's go there. That might not have been the best, but again I could just push the pawns, keep the I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing here, but looks fairly... He's probably going to try and come in with the knight, but he hasn't really got enough, I don't think, there. How am I going to win this then? Okay, well, that makes it easier. Okay, first game down. As always in these matches, I think it's, well, playing black's obviously a much bigger challenge. So he usually plays, I think, the two knight stuff. That's what I'm expecting him to do here. And d4. I haven't looked at this stuff. Well, of course I've looked at it before, but not specifically for this match. But I looked at it a lot for the Atomic World Championships. So hopefully I can remember most of the stuff I looked at there. Usually they take on a6 here, but you can play knight b5. It's actually quite a complicated line, which I'm kind of hoping he doesn't do now. But it is possible. That leads to quite complicated play. Bishop takes a6 is kind of tries to keep things under control. Well, if he jumps here, then of course I jump back. He comes in with a check, and he has to give up the queen to get some attack. Leads to quite complicated positions. Because he's gone for this way. Yeah, bishop b4. Yeah, I'll do this one. I think black's got a couple of options. but in these kind of positions there's lots of different lines. White has to be quite careful. Right now I've got these kind of ideas with the queen, but if white plays perfectly then it is quite difficult for black. But the problem is that okay, he's taken that. Can I not play queen a6? Am I missing something? I don't see what I'm missing. Of course, as this game's trying to show, I think he's just missed this, and now he's losing along this diagonal. These lines, although they are objectively quite strong, they are really tricky for white. I think this game's just shown that. I mean, instead of g takes f5, he could play something like queen e2, or he can maybe move the king over. If he moves the king, then it frees up the knight to come to b5, and if he moves the queen, then of course he's stopping that attack. Okay, so what shall I do this time? I'm going to go for this again, but I'll play something different at some point. Let's go for d4. Okay. I usually play this followed by g3. I usually block with either one of these pawns. Yeah, g3. I kind of like these positions for white. Just kind of get a bit more space. Usually they try and push these pawns, or you can push the e pawn or the f pawn. After the f pawn push, I can play e5. I've just kind of got a bit more space. I had one game that went f4. It might even have been against ProgramFox actually. I'm not sure. But the tactical reasons, I think it was against Never Gonna Berserk. You can play, if he plays f4, you can play c3. Oh, so he's actually taken. Okay. Knight f4 looks like the obvious move. It looks quite good to me, but I'm just checking. Let's go for that. So this is threatening to come into both of these squares, and if he plays g6, it doesn't really stop knight h5. So I think he's probably gone slightly wrong here. Knight e7 is also a mistake, I think, or maybe not. Well, I mean, it does drop this pawn at the very least. I was thinking I had queen here, back to here, but he blocks with a knight, so that's not quite as good as I first thought. But if he goes knight e7, I suppose I'll probably just take this. So he's gone g6. So I do have knight h5, and I think I should really do that. If he captures this, then queen h5 wins on the spot. So he has to allow this knight to come into g7, and then I both have more space and this really strong knight. I think I'll just give the check. Now I just kind of probably just carry on as normal. Let's play f4. He might at some point just move this knight and give up this pawn. I'm kind of expecting him to do that, or maybe just move this knight, move some piece there, and just hope I take it, because this knight is really annoying, and I'm just going to leave it there, and at some point it will help me out a lot. Okay, he's got queen a5. Queen a5 b4 just keeps things under control, and you can't easily get out of this, I don't think. If I have a couple of moves, I'll probably just move the bishop and castle. Although with these pawns, I do have to worry about this diagonal in the future. At some point, he might try and open that up. Okay, a queen trade. Objectively, it's probably better for black to do that, because with this knight here, all my attacks gain a lot of strength. But I'm quite happy to see it as well, to be honest with you. I want to somehow use this diagonal with my bishop. Let's play rook b1. He wants. I think he's going to play knight here, but he still has to worry about this pawn. Okay, so he's just done that. So now this bishop is going to come out here with some force. So he's given up this pawn, but let's just do the check for now. I might just leave it there, because if he plays knight g4 I can take anyway. Of course he has got this pawn back if I capture there. c5 is tempting, and then if b5 I can probably just capture. Knight c6, rook b7. That looks quite good. Do I have some kind of mate stuff? Is this strong? I'm not quite sure. I don't think it is, because he can play knight d7. Let's play this. He might just play knight g4 and then I'll capture on f5. He's gone for that way. Okay. So now I could play c6 first. That's one option. But I think I'm just going to get rid of this. I like the idea of getting rid of this undeveloped bishop, but then he does have a light squared bishop. It's kind of a bit annoying. He can play a5 in some positions. I'm trying to talk myself out of it, but I'm going to play it. He's actually up on material here, but of course he has to deal with this threat. If he plays to d7, then I can at least take on e6, but I'll probably play rook b7, threatening that capture. So he's done that. Okay, that makes some sense. I think I'll just stick that there, so his bishop is now pinned. The only problem with this move is that I can't play c6, so his bishop is no longer really taking much part. Okay, so he's done that. And that has a problem though, I thought. Maybe it's not so bad. But I think I can just do this and then play h3, and he's kind of really tied up. I'm just going to castle and rook b8, rook b1. Okay, let's castle. If he takes that, then rook b7. I can even exchange the pieces, I think. Oh, I should have just taken his knight, but this way wins as well because I got this bishop g7. Okay, so was that 3? Yeah. Okay. So I'm black again now. I wonder if he'll repeat that line. If he does, I might try something slightly different. Okay, so he has gone for it again. Okay, I said that and now I'm playing the same line, but you can deviate a bit later as well. So after knight g6, I can try this one. I think this is a line. This is a bit more complicated. The idea is that his knight is kind of tied down to this square. And if he spends a move kind of addressing that, so h4 is kind of natural, I can kind of start a counter attack now with this because he doesn't gain a tempo on d7 anymore. That's kind of the idea. So now this is a threat here. Also, this might be an idea. Bishop g5, I guess. I've got queen f6. Knight e7. So it's giving me knight g4. His idea, I think, is that if I just immediately jump in, he'll go queen h5. But then g6, queen h6. It's winning for him. I think I don't know why I'm taking so long. I do want to put my knight there. But now I just want to leave the knight on g4 and just maybe play queen out here now. Looks like the right way to go. So I can't. He won't fall for this again, I'm sure. He'll do something else. Maybe castles or queen e2. Something to avoid what happened last time. Castles, okay. Queen a6, knight b5, bishop b2, queen e2. Or he can check me actually, knight c7 maybe. Do I want to take that? I think I want to. Oh no. Yes, I do want to. I'm going to take it. So material's now level, and we've both got like a strong knight. I have to be careful about f-pawn rushes. Always, I mean, it looks like my position's perhaps slightly more precarious than his because of this pawn. But if the queens come off, which they may do in the coming variations, because I can play stuff like queen a6, c4, and then back to a5 again. I can't use the b5 square because of knight takes c6, sorry. And I don't want to leave it for a tempo because then he can play stuff like something maybe like a4, or perhaps he's got something better than that. So I'm gonna go for this. And get rid of these queens. I wasn't expecting that. This is quite. I'm going to put the knight on f2, I think. Just because otherwise this f pawn push. I could have played knight h2, it might have been slightly better actually, knight h2. Possibly quite a lot better in fact. I'm regretting that now. But on f2 it does have this d3 square potential. And if he plays to f5, my idea is I'll probably play rook f8, and then at some point this position will open up. I might play rook f8 anyway, because this knight is stopping me from developing properly. Or maybe g5 is an idea here. Is g5 an idea? Not sure about the merits of g5. He's always covering this square, but perhaps in the future I can use it. This knight is super annoying for me though. Okay, let's tickle him over here. The idea of this is just to kind of because his knight is stopping me from castling queenside. This rook is not really playing. So this is kind of helping me to open up the position over this side of the board. That was not a good move by me, I don't think. Now b5 is quite good. Oh, we didn't do it. Okay, that's good. D5 might be annoying now. Oh, he hasn't gone for it. It's gone for... Oh, I meant to play H5. That was a slip. Knight G6 is kind of... Oh, it doesn't matter. Oh, actually, it does matter. I wish I'd played H5. If he plays Rook B8, I play Bishop C8. Now, then you can play Rook A8, and I have to get my king. If I go King F7, he goes F5, takes E6. That looks very bad, actually. In fact, this looks really quite... really? Oh, he's got Rook A7. That's nice. Okay. Yeah, I blundered into that one. Now he's mating me. That was a poorly played game from me there, I think, after the opening stage. Got a decent position and then all went to pot, really. But I think my opponent played well there. ProgramFox, well done. Let's go for this Knight C3 line. Oh, I probably should play something other than Knight H3. But I don't know how many games... So it's 3-1. I think it's an 8-game match, so it's... Last time I played him, he played Queen C4 in this line. This is one of the interesting lines. Knight E7. Knight F4 looks good there. Yeah, this is one of the more interesting lines, although I think best moves are probably moves that keep the knight out of F4. But the idea is so black sacrificed an exchange, but white's king is in a poor position. But I'm not sure about the way he's playing here. I'm going to grab that pawn. And now I've got an exchange and a pawn. So I mean, unless he's winning directly against my king, if I can defend then and get my pieces out, well, that's one of the hard things to do in this position as white, is get all your pieces playing the game. If I can do that, then I should be doing very well. This pushing of the A pawn is one of the crucial ideas in this line, combined usually with pushing the E pawn and the F pawn, E pawn and D pawn. Not always two squares, sometimes the pawn goes to E3, and then developing the bishop out. I'm going to play D4, while black will simply just try to put his rook somewhere in the middle. I'm not sure what that move is for. I'll probably find out in a second. Okay, so he's just trying to weaken my dark squares, it looks like. So he's got this square for his bishop now. But not too convinced about this idea. Let's play that. Okay, so I have got one way to block this, so I can play... Oh, do I want to play that? So I'm looking at King C2, that's... Bishop takes E4, is basically he's threatening this. And I need to stop that somehow. And... that looks like the most obvious way to me. King C2, bishop takes, and then bishop D3. So then I'm covering all of these squares. You can win the exchange back, but I do have an extra pawn, so I'm not too worried about him grabbing the exchange if I can win. But he has got this stuff over here, but I don't think. Sometimes if I could just play rook a3, that's one way to kind of force him to take the exchange. Okay, I'm going to rook a3. You could play bishop d2, but then I can still get. I've still got this idea of running with my king. So, okay, so he's done that. Now I can just move the bishop somewhere. Oh no, I can't. I do still have to play like this. c6 is probably one option for him. Now I have this idea of checking and playing here. This pawn's kind of fixed on a light square, so his endings are just very good for me. So he's played that, which is a smart move. But is it that good? Now I have got this check. I could have done it last move, but it doesn't really matter. Basically, the endgame's winning because of this pawn on b7. He'll probably realise that in a second. Or he might. I'm sure he'd realised already. Basically, if he could pawnetize somehow, then it'd be fine. If, for example, this pawn was on a4, he could play b6, and actually I wouldn't be able to win. But in this case, it's kind of been stacked against him from the beginning because of this pawn. Okay, so that's 4-1. I think it's 8-game match, so it's first to 4.5, I suppose. So he's just probably deciding whether to repeat that line again. 3.5, 1.5. Is he going to go for it again? He is. Okay. This is one of the most dangerous lines, so if he's looked at this a lot, I'm going to go for. Let's go for the line that won me the first game and see what he does differently this time. So I'm threatening. Well, I'm threatening Queen H4. So Queen A5. So like I said before, moving the king, maybe even King F1 or castles or Queen E2. King F1's a bit weird, but God probably does the job as well. Queen E2. Come here. Now Black's idea is to kind of play like this. Yep. Just try and get some counterplay. So maybe castles. Yeah, castles is a good move, I think. Let's take that. So I am kind of. The problem is his rook's on f1, so it's can't really capture that because he just takes on f5. So I'm kind of in a bit of a trouble. I haven't got much choice. I have to go over here, I think. My moves are kind of forced, but now I've got these kind of squares. So he's playing in a smart manner, I think. So, how can I do something here? Can I do anything here? I don't think this is objectively at all good, but I might try c5. Just because my position is quite bad, and he is a pawn up, so I need to get my pieces out. If I go c5, the idea is to use this bishop along here somehow, but it does open up his bishop. Let's go for it. I don't think I've got lots of good choices. The queens will come off at some point, I expect. This also has a threat, kind of. I can play queen d1 followed by capturing here, so he does have to address it. He can't just move over here, you know, like g5 or something. He has to do something to address the threat. Queen. Oh, I don't think that's good. I think that might be a blunder. So queen c2. Oh, he's threatening. So he's going to take on c5 with the pawn. I see. Okay, it wasn't a blunder at all. Queen c2, d takes c5. d5. Queen takes d4. I could try. Although that does mean I've got no chance of pawnetization later. Oh no, not no chances. That's not true. I do have some, but less chances. I don't. Let's go for this. That was forced by him. So I'm wondering if like a castle might be queen d6 is tempting, but I think it just leads to a perpetual. Oh, no, it doesn't. It just leads to checkmate. Okay. So d5 then. Yeah, I want to take on c4. But this is such a miserable position. You can even play b5. Okay, let's do this. It's not a great move, but not a lot of great options. Bishop e7 probably. Oh, he hasn't. Okay. He can play c5 now. Oh, he hasn't played c5. Why not? Oh, because he's threatening checkmate. Whoops. That would have been... Well, it wouldn't have changed the result, to be honest with you. c5 now. Oh, he's got that. Ah. I'm not sure why he's gone for this, actually. This looks like it's less obviously winning. He'll probably take on b6. He got rook c8. That was silly. Probably just play g5 or something here. Ah, he's got a7. Or has he? No, he hasn't. I think I've swindled him. He should probably play a7, rook b1, rook c1, rook b2. But then he's got nothing there. I think I got very lucky here. Unless I'm missing something, which is quite probable. I don't think I'm brain's very sharp at the moment. Okay, let's just end that one. Thanks for watching.